Hello again, and thank you for joining us in this cool adventure of, well, how do they say? Being cool, dude. The idea of cool is something we all understand, or do we really? What it is to be cool. It is a feeling. It is an attitude. It is a way of being in the world that seems effortless and authentic. But what does it truly mean to be cool? The answer to that question has never stayed the same. It changes with time. It shifts with every new generation that comes of age. Cool is a mirror that reflects our culture, our music, our fashion, most importantly, our search for identity. It is the language of the different, a way for them to define themselves against the world they have inherited. What was considered cool yesterday might not be cool today, and what is cool today will surely be different tomorrow. The modern idea of cool truly began to take shape in the early 20th century. Its roots are deeply planted in African American culture, especially within the world of jazz music. In places like New Orleans and later, during the Harlem Renaissance of the 1920s, a new kind of expression emerged. It was about being detached, composed, and in control, even in the face of hardship and oppression. Jazz musicians like Lester Young, who famously nicknamed Billie Holiday Lady Day, embodied this spirit. He played his saxophone with a relaxed, flowing style that was the opposite of the rigid, formal music of the time. This was the birth of cool as a form of graceful rebellion and artistic self-possession. The very word cool entered the slang of the era to describe this new, admirable attitude. This new sense of cool was not just about the music, it was a complete cultural package. It had its own language, its own fashion, and its own way of carrying oneself. The zoot suits of the 1930s and 1940s, with their wide shoulders and pegged pants, were a bold fashion statement. They were flamboyant and defiant. The slang that came out of the jazz scene, words like hip and cat, creating an exclusive language for those who were in the know. Being cool meant understanding this world. This was a culture created from the ground up, a unique and powerful expression of identity. After World War II, this idea of cool found new champions in the beat generation of the 1950s. Writers like Jack Kerouac and Allen Ginsberg were deeply inspired by the jazz musicians they admired. They saw in jazz a spontaneous, free-form art that they wanted to replicate in their own writing. They spent their nights in the jazz clubs of New York and San Francisco, soaking in the atmosphere and the sound. The cool of the beats was about rejecting the conformity of 1950s suburban America. It was about seeking spiritual enlightenment, exploring new ideas, and living a life that was raw, honest, and filled with experience. Their uniform of black turtlenecks and berets became an iconic symbol of this intellectual and artistic rebellion. The cool of this period was defined by a quiet intensity. It was less about being loud and more about being profound. Hollywood actors like Marlon Brando in The Wild One and James Dean in Rebel Without a Cause brought this attitude to the big screen. They played characters who were brooding, misunderstood outsiders. They mumbled their lines and moved with a restless energy, capturing the feeling of a generation that felt disconnected from the mainstream. These figures, whether real-life musicians and writers or fictional movie characters, solidified the image of cool as something detached. The 1960s turned private beat cool into something loud and public. The decade was a time of immense social and political upheaval. The civil rights movement, the growing opposition to the Vietnam War gave young people a powerful cause. Being cool was no longer just about personal style. It was about having a social conscience and questioning authority. This new cool was collective and revolutionary. Music was the heartbeat of this counterculture. Folk songs, Bob Dylan, gave voice to protests. Then came the British invasion, the Beatles, the Rolling Stones. The cool things: grow your hair long, listen to rock on the radio, go to massive festivals like Woodstock in 1969. These were gatherings of a tribe. Fashion became self-expression and rejection of the old. Bright colors, psychedelic patterns, flowing fabrics. Bell-bottom jeans, tie-dye shirts, headbands. The 1970s was a decade of fragmentation, being way super cool. The The unified counterculture of the 1960s splintered into multiple scenes, each with its own distinct version of cool. One of the most glamorous and visible of these was disco. Born in the underground gay and minority clubs of New York City, disco was all about escapism, dancing, and high-energy celebration. The cool place to be was a club like Studio 54, with its flashing lights, thumping bass lines, and exclusive velvet rope. Like Donna Summer and the Bee Gees, it was a hedonistic and joyful form of cool. The fashion that went along with disco was just as extravagant as the music. It was about being seen and making a statement. For women, sequined halter tops, flowing palazzo pants, platform shoes. For men, silky, open-collared shirts, tight-fitting polyester suits, gold chains. John Travolta in Saturday Night Fever. His white suit and confident strut made him the king of the dance floor. Embracing glamour, showing off your best dance moves, being part of the vibrant, pulsating nightlife. Polished, sexy, unapologetically fun. At the very same time, a completely different and opposite version of cool was emerging: punk rock. If disco was polished glamour, punk was raw, angry rebellion. London and New York punk scenes. Sex Pistols. The 1980s was the decade when cool became a global commodity, and the main vehicle for this was a new television channel called MTV. Launched in 1981, music television changed everything. Suddenly, the image of a musician became just as important as the music. Music videos were short films that created a whole world around a song. Artists who mastered this new medium became the biggest stars on the planet. Being cool in the 80s meant knowing the latest videos, copying the dances, wearing the fashions you saw on TV. Cool was broadcast into living rooms everywhere, 24 hours a day. Pop icons reigned supreme. Michael Jackson, the king of pop, was the ultimate example. Billie Jean Thriller, his single sequined glove, his red leather jacket, his incredible dance moves were instantly iconic and copied worldwide. Madonna constantly reinvented her image and challenged conventions. Prince created his own flamboyant universe. These artists were larger-than-life characters who defined cool. Fashion in the 1980s was bold, colorful, and oversized. It was a decade of excess. The clothing reflected that. Women wore shoulder pads, neon colors, leg warmers big, permed hair. The 1990s began with a powerful rejection of the polished, consumer-driven cool of the 80s. The new sound and attitude came from the Pacific Northwest. It was called grunge. It was Nirvana, Pearl Jam, Soundgarden, who played music that was heavy, they played music that was angst-ridden, and played music that was emotionally raw. Nirvana's lead singer, Kurt Cobain, became the unwilling icon of this new generation. His cool was not about glamour. His cool was not about fame. It was about authenticity and a deep skepticism of the corporate world. He sang about feeling alienated. He sang about feeling confused. And millions of young people felt an immediate connection. The cool of grunge was about embracing imperfection and not caring what other people thought about you. The fashion of the grunge era was a direct reflection of this anti-consumerist attitude. It was often called the slacker look. It consisted of items that were comfortable. It consisted of items that were inexpensive. It consisted of items that looked well worn. Flannel shirts. This minimalist, dressed-down aesthetic was a powerful statement against the materialism of the previous decade and defined the look of the early 1990s. While grunge dominated the rock world, hip-hop continued its evolution and became the most dominant force in popular music. The 1990s was a golden age for hip-hop, with a wide range of styles and voices. Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg pioneered the G-Funk sound with its smooth beats and gangster narratives. A Tribe Called Quest and Wu-Tang Clan brought a more complex approach, brought a more lyrical approach, brought a more diverse approach. Hip-hop cool in the 1990s was multifaceted. It could be about projecting an image of toughness and street credibility, or about showcasing lyrical genius and cultural consciousness. The fashion was equally influential: baggy jeans, oversized sports jerseys, Timberland boots. Towards the end of the decade, a new force began to quietly reshape the meaning of cool: the internet. Personal computers. America Online created the first digital communities. Being cool started to involve having an email address, knowing how to navigate chat rooms, building your first simple web page. This was the very beginning of online identity creation. The 2000s and 2010s saw the internet completely transform from a niche hobby into the central organizing force of our culture. The rise of social media platforms like MySpace, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram changed how we define ourselves. Cool was no longer just about what you wore or what music you listened to. It was about the identity you curated online. It was about having a well-designed MySpace page, amassing friends on Facebook, posting a perfectly filtered photo on Instagram. Your online profile became a digital resume of your coolness. This was the beginning of personal branding for the masses. As smartphones became universal, this trend only accelerated. Cool was now something you carried in your pocket. The internet was always on, and the performance of self became constant. It was a reaction to flawless perfection. Today, cool is fragmented and personalized. Algorithms mean what's cool for one person might be unknown to another. Your For You page builds a unique bubble of trends, sounds, and ideas. Cool is no longer one unified concept. It's a mosaic of niches. Gaming, K-pop, sustainable fashion, social justice activism. The thread that connects it all is belonging and expressing identity. The story of cool never ends. It keeps changing. One post, one video, one new idea at a time. It was shaped by the sounds coming out of radios, sounds coming out of nightclubs. It was influenced by the clothes people wore on the streets, clothes in the movies. It was molded by the social movements that challenged the old ways of thinking. Smoky jazz clubs of the early 1900s, bright flickering screens of smartphones today. The essence of cool has always been about being just a little bit ahead of the curve. It is about rebellion, innovation, having the courage to be yourself, no matter what anyone else thinks. It is a history of us. It's what makes us different and exciting. It's the beauty of understanding that we are all part of the same human race. So no matter where you're from, remember that we are all in this together and embrace the beauty that we all bring by being different. Love each other, accept the differences, and don't forget to stay cool. Embrace your coolness. Thank you for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, please like and share. Thank you and goodbye for now. Farewell.